first sponsor noticed I had lots of friends that were women. And he was like, I want you to not be social with any women for a while. And I was like, what? Because betrayed partners, they're always trying to feel out how safe they are. What's the threat level here? And so I'm wondering, without asking them to try to mind read, which I don't think is helpful.
They're trying, but it doesn't work.
Right. How can betrayed partners begin to distinguish, like, this is a normal human response versus that feels like a real red flag?
So I was thinking about that one because I was like, I think the first thing I want to say is that the partners need to trust their gut. Because I think at a certain point, if you're asking yourself that question, there is something off, perhaps. And it's probably that the threat is actually still the betrayer, right? There's something the betrayer is doing, or maybe not doing, that is still causing you to feel unsafe. So I would say, like I was actually thinking about the example of at a restaurant, right? And I think everybody's a little different, so every couple's experience is different, but some guys might actually do the double glance or I'm going to say get creepy and leer at somebody, right? And that's visually, it's still, they're just fixated, but you can see that they're fixated, right? So I'm going to start to cross that into behavior. That's not actually a problem with their thoughts. That's not a problem that they noticed and even were attracted. There's still something there that is a behavior you're picking up.
Yes.
That feels unsafe. So open conversation about that, maybe with your professionals. But if you're in an actively healing together stage, like if it's like, hey, dude, I'm here, right? And it's like, whoa, so sorry, we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
If the partner can understand that that's a part of his process, like kind of how you're saying, like, got to practice the good things, right? And sometimes there might be a hijack, or maybe there's a threat there. Maybe there's something to explore together of like why that person has him fixated, right? On the other hand, if it's like, what? I'm not doing anything, or what's your problem, or right, then again, it's not just the staring at the waitress that's the problem. It's that behavior right there is the reason you're feeling unsafe.
That defensiveness, denial, lack of ownership. I mean, I'm thinking about one particular couple who came in one time. I was doing an intensive with them. They left for lunch. Wouldn't you know, over the lunch break, the waitress, something happened with the waitress. It doesn't matter the details of it, but they came in still pretty raw over this. And as soon as I was able to kind of remind the guy of his values, one of them being humility and accountability was another one. He took a deep breath and he looked at her and he said, his wife, and he said, yeah,
right.
It was more than just a glance. You're right. I didn't bounce my eyes. That was, he did throw in, I wasn't consciously thinking about doing that, but I did it. I see that I did it, and it doesn't matter if I was choosing to do it or not. It was hurtful to you. And that just shifted everything.
Yeah. And I mean, I think sometimes, I don't know if you're going there, but the idea of like, maybe they didn't do anything. Like maybe you're feeling unsafe because of your history with this person now, this new set of data points, right? Like you're now betrayed partners. You now know he's capable of all of these things, right? So now you're feeling unsafe. I still think there are the things that are feeling unsafe might still be a lack of transparency.
Yes.
That the guy is struggling, but doesn't want to share that. or is feeling shame. Maybe he's feeling shame about the noticing and attraction, and there's nothing past that. But because he's feeling shame, you're picking up as a partner, you're picking up that he's off.
Right. Or maybe he's feeling fear that you're feeling fear.
Oh yeah, we do that, right? The couples are ping-ponging, like
Ping-ponging anxiety.
we're both worried we're triggered.
Right, exactly. And no one's just naming it. No one's just saying, right? I've told this story before. This has been, I don't know, it might be a year ago now, but it was pretty recently. My wife found some place on Instagram, some hip new spot, and she's like, "Let's go," you know. So we had a babysitter, and we went out, and and like the moment we started walking into this place, we were there less than 2 minutes and we're not that old, but we were the oldest people there. And the floor was really sticky and it was really crowded. And we're just like, no, not our thing. So we're going back out, and we had valeted the car. So we go back out and we're waiting for my car to come back. And it's very crowded. And these two women like show up. Right. And I can honestly say, notice them. Yes. Attractive. No. And at the exact same time, given my history,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that that my wife might worry that there was a threat there. And what I did was, because I mean, they were like right there. Okay. And there was no place for us to go. Crowded this. I put my hands on my wife's shoulders and I just turned us both so that we weren't facing them, and just kind of gave her this squeeze. We got in the car and she was like, "Thank you." Because here's what I make up. I was acknowledging that there was a threat. I wasn't pretending like it wasn't there. I wasn't getting defensive, like that's not a thing for me. You know, you don't judge me and think that that's a threat. So this is what I like to say to I was going to say the guys, but any betraying partner, gender, whatever it is, even if you're not doing anything wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you did do something wrong that set up this scenario that has made this something that feels threatening to your partner.
Yes.
And so in that moment, rather than automatically turning to defensiveness that you're not doing anything wrong right now, how about turning toward validation that you are the cause of why this is even a scare, a threat right now.
Well, and what you did was you offered very, very subtle, but reassurance,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're my person, you know,
I
like
don't want
that.
any of that.
Yeah.
It's you and me.
But there's also, you're talking about it,
Right.
right? Because then you're getting in the car and she feels safe enough to say thank you and acknowledge it and kind of talk through those things.
Yeah. I guess I'm hoping that listeners just take the risk of talking about this stuff.
Right. And I think as partners, a piece is when we're triggered, because we will be,
Mm-hmm.
we need to sort out if it is a trigger about about all this past that we now know about, what we know he's capable of, something that reminds us of another time, or is there something current that is an active threat? And name that, because maybe the active threat is his defensiveness. Then that's not actually a trigger. That's active right now. Your defensiveness is not working for me.
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah,
that
for
is
sure.
unsafe.
It's unsafe. Yeah, because I can again, and I know I'm this is a little bit repetitive. I just think it's so important. I just think it's so important. It's like when I start to defend my integrity in this moment rather than meet her in the fear or the pain that she's in, I'm choosing myself.
Rather than saying, I see the cleavage too, and I don't want it. I want you.
I'm here. I'm with you. Yeah,
Right?
I'm with you. Yeah. Exactly. I want to talk a little bit about how betraying partner, and we've been doing this a little bit. I want to be more explicit. How the betraying partner can develop this kind of transparency and self-regulation. We've kind of talked about this a little bit. You mentioned that kind of insight of knowing, like, is this about safety for me, or is this about affirmation for me, or
Right.
whatever, being able to name that in the moment. I talked about some of the phrases I do to humanize the person. What else would you say to betraying partners that they could do in these moments?
I mean, there's nothing better than taking a breath and doing some kind of like grounding, affirmation, self-compassion. But I was thinking outside of like exactly in the moment, I do actually really want to see the betrayers I'm working with check those thoughts or those struggles out with somebody else. Like, especially in the beginning, like the whole thing, I like the 12 step, like, what is it? Like your own best thinking got you here,
Right.
right? Like
Yes.
betrayer probably shouldn't be trusting, like, oh, I don't think it's anything. I think I just was attractive. Maybe, like, I don't know that they're the best judge of whether they're objectifying at the beginning.
100%.
Right? So they need to be checking that in and having these conversations. And in the early days, I'm going to say it's not with your partner. It's not with your betrayed partner. It's start talking about these things in your recovery groups, with your sponsors, with your professionals, so that you start to figure out your own boundaries on where's the line. When am I really crossing the line from noticing attraction to objectification or fixation? What does that look like? And therefore, how do I respond? If I actually get from noticing to attraction and I can acknowledge those things, well, then what? Don't, like, because then you could just get frozen
Right.
and feel trapped, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I think there's a lot that the betrayer can do to figure out their own boundaries.
Yes.
And then they have to communicate them, goodness, so that their wife, I see that missing so much. It's like they're doing their work, but they have not told their wife where their boundaries are. So the wife is still wanting to or the betrayed is still wanting to be the external boundary,
Right.
right? Of like, you can't go to that place, right? And I'm like, well, maybe, but often the thing that you think is triggering is not the thing that's triggering.
Right.
There's that. But then there's also like maybe he actually is talking about these things, has figured out where's the line for him.
Yeah.
But with the caveat of probably betrayer, you shouldn't trust yourself at the beginning. You should be getting a lot of
Yeah.
input into that.
I love that, and I'm fixated now on the fact that I didn't think of that and put it in my little bullet points under that question. Like that is so so wise, that because I'm just reflecting on my own experience, and I did not know the difference. And I'll give it an example. This is adjacent to the subject we're talking about, but it's pretty well connected. When I first got into recovery, so I was not married when I got into recovery. I was a single guy, so very different situation than a lot of people. But my first sponsor noticed, I don't know, a few weeks or months into working with me, that I had lots of friends that were women, and he was like, "I want you to not be social with any women for a while."
Wow.
And I was like, "What?" I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard in my life. 'Cause I'm like, I'm not even attracted to these women. These are just friends. There's nothing going on here. All this kind of, but he was so right. There was a little like hit I was getting of affirmation,
Validation.
from a validation, having these women, this just a very subtle thread of flirtiness or whatever. And I truly, I mean, you could have hooked me up to Stephen Kabler's polygraph. I had zero self-awareness of it until I had a period of abstinence from it, and I started to notice it. And then, and so that is so good, because I think you're right. A lot of guys, our own best thinking got us there. We need that input from the outside to help us grow that internal wisdom and discernment. Oh, that's such a good word. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then the other thing you said there is then to learn how to share with their partners what they are doing.
Yes.
With this stuff. So to say to my wife, hey, I want you to know that I did see that lady come in the restaurant.
Right.
I noticed. I redirected myself. I used my tools. I'm good. And I just want to make sure you're okay too. If betrayal trauma has touched your life, you're not alone, and healing is possible. This is Betrayal Recovery Radio, the official podcast of the Association of Partners of Sex Addict Trauma Specialists. I'm Dr. Jake Porter, and each week we explore the science, soul, and stories of transformation after betrayal. This podcast is for betrayed partners, for those who've caused harm, and for the professionals walking with them through the healing. Because even in the ashes of betrayal, something beautiful, something strong, something triumphant can rise.